AfricaCom is the most important show in Africa.
This is a great global stage where great minds meet.
AfricaCom is the most important event in the African continent.
It's huge, and I think it brings all of Africa in one place.
We'll say hello, we made partners, and therefore tomorrow will be wiser than we were yesterday.
If you want to know where the trends are going, this is where you ought to be.
Hi guys, this is Rufaro, and back again with the podcast, joined by
Mashu,
Alright, you know me, I'm back again.
Rose from social media.
So yeah, based from the intro, we just came back from AfricaCom. This is Africa's largest tech expo, telecommunications and things like that. So companies come along and they showcase what they've been working on and things like that. Think of CES, Consumer Electronics Show, Mobile World Congress,
yeah.
And the Apple stuff, WWDC, those kind of things, those kind of conference. So yeah, so we're all each going to go around and give our impressions and thoughts about the 21st anniversary of AfricaCom. I guess since I've got the mic, I'll go ahead and start.
Yeah.
So one thing that really interested me, and I was talking to Limbikani earlier, and it was about these guys called SokoWatch. So SokoWatch is a company that's trying to solve this last mile delivery problem. So Maspaza.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who didn't know what a Spaza was?
There's South African tag shops.
Yes,
Just the touch.
Yeah.
So I thought they were just called tag shops.
No,
but
they're
apparently
Spaza shops.
They're called Spazas. So Spazas, right, these informal traders, right, they buy stuff, goods, and then they sell. And these guys discover that actually there's a potential problem in their view, whereby if you're going to go and get more stock, right, you're away from your tuck shop. So you have to spend some time traveling into town, where they're going Kumbare or Mahomet Musa, and then you come back, and by the time that you're gone, someone might have come and wanted something from you. So that's a missed opportunity of selling your goods. So these guys are solving that problem in that they have the three-wheel cars, what are they called?
Yeah.
Tuku or
tricycles.
No, they have their own special name like Spaza.
Oh,
So those things, right?
Spice vehicles.
So those things, they have drivers on those things, and the drivers make deliveries to these tuck shops. So if you live in Mount Pleasant Heights, for example, right, the driver would come and he would go around to all the tuck shops that are in the area delivering.
Yeah.
And in the case that he's on a delivery already and you have a tuck shop in Mount Pleasant Heights and you want some stuff, he doesn't have to go back to their warehouse and get more stuff because they already have a buffer of stock in the vehicle. So they have things that they discover that, these things are mostly bought by the tuck shop vendors, right? So we'll make sure that there's enough in case someone orders while on a delivery. And yeah, so that's basically their proposal to the vendors, to the informal traders. So they're linking up with big brands like Unilever, other big brands. Unilever is what caught my ears. But yes, so it's like a direct line. In the talk, they didn't get to say whether it's directly cheaper, because Limbikani was like, well, it makes sense, right? If it's cheaper for me to use their service than to go into town or Mbari or Mohammed Musa. However, if it's more expensive, which is let's say $3, right?
Yeah.
According to today's rate of 75 cents. If it's more than $3, what's the point, right? I probably have someone, a sister, a brother, a son, a daughter who could stay around watching the tuck shop. And we've seen this happening in our areas, right? There's someone who's younger and they're tending the shop, they're helping people selling things. So it's not really like a big problem that missed opportunity is like so crucial that you need someone to solve. But it was interesting to me that it's something that I've lived with for so long. I've seen it happening. I've seen people getting into combis with their bulk groceries for their tuck shop. And I know it's for the tuck shop because jiggies and things like that. But I never thought of it like this could be an actual problem that someone is facing. So yeah, that was the interesting one. And the other one, which ties into what they're doing of like predicting someone's problems or like what they're going to buy, right? Predicting what someone frequently buys. So this ties into artificial intelligence. And yeah,
Was it the FICO guy?
Which one?
Oh
The
my
artificial
god.
intelligence?
Yes, it
No.
was scary.
No. So it's no secret, I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence. But I recently wrote an article that goes way against that. And the article was that you shouldn't trust artificial intelligence. Like, not at all. So generally you'd think that machines pretty much have it right? If you tell them...
No, we've all watched Terminator, dude.
Yeah.
You know how that story goes.
So if you tell them this is what you need to do, they follow. They don't like deviate and go away.
Yeah.
But when it comes to big decisions, and there was this study that happened in America, they had this criminal prediction software, right? Algorithms. So this thing, if you committed a crime and you're in jail, it would predict whether you're going to commit a second crime. And based on that, certain decisions would then be made, whether you're allowed to have bail and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out that for like 60% of the predictions, this thing was incorrectly predicting that black people were more likely to commit a second crime, right? So that's the thing, right? Society, we think like that. It's not shocking if a human tells you that.
Yeah.
But if a machine tells you that, it's like, why is it already biased? Because this was classified as incorrectly predicting, right? It's not, it was predicting that. It was incorrectly predicting, right? And it discovered that actually it's because of what you feed into the algorithms. So if it learns from our surroundings, and it learns that, well, Farai, Mashu, and Rose, they all believe that a black person is more likely to commit a second crime. It's going to be like, hey, if a lot of people on this planet, on Earth, believe this, why shouldn't I believe this? After all, we are the ones who are teaching it, right? We're giving it the data to learn from. And we'll be like, it's logical for me to assume the same thing that these people are assuming. But it showed me that artificial intelligence can also be biased. And it was like, yeah, would you then trust artificial intelligence to be your lawyer if you've committed a crime before?
No.
Or will it automatically then be like, this guy, since he's black, he's most likely going to commit another crime?
Yeah.
I would in some cases, depending on like...
And what cases are those?
On the severity of the case. We had this conversation before, but I guess for the benefit of everyone else and you guys, I would, because I think the law itself is black and white. It's written down. This is correct, this is wrong. So feeding that to the machine, maybe I guess the context would confuse it, but that's why I say depending on what the issue is.
Yeah, because my brother in the UK was telling me a case of some guy who's just there to find a small loophole. So his client had actually been caught drunk driving, right? So the officer who had actually stopped him told him to breathe into the what? Into the breathalyzer, but he didn't want to, and he sped off. And he was what? He was arrested.
Yeah.
So when the matter went to court, the officer came and said, hi, he was drunk. He was visibly drunk. Anyone can tell this person was drunk.
Yeah.
And the law now says, did you give him the breathalyzer?
Yeah.
And he was like,
No.
yes, I did. But he refused to chew it. He refused to breathe into the breathalyzer. And the guy was like, and so the lawyer comes and says, do you know my client's medical history? He said, like, no. And they were like, do you know that he has actually some chest complications, asthma or something?
Oh.
The moment the lawyer goes like, the moment he would have breathed into your breathalyzer, he would have died. So, there's
always room.
There's always, so I really don't think, like you're saying, to a certain extent, you can use AI is maybe your roadmap to your defense. You just want to know what's black and white. Then find the loophole, because that's the only way you can get out of some situation.
And talking about AI, yesterday I was on Facebook. So I was posting my pictures of myself and you guys. Then Facebook thought I was my older sister. So when I was at the conference, still talking about AI, there was this company called FICO. They said that they came up with a system where they use your biometrics and all that when you're a person, you can make your payments using your biometrics. Yeah. Instead of going to taking out your card, you just use your eyes or you use your face, your fingers or whatever. So imagine one day if I'm broke, I can just go walk into and
your sister's wealthy.
It's now mine. Yeah. So that's one of the disadvantages of AI as well. Yeah.
Now I'm sure if they roll that one out, they'll try to make it foolproof.
Yeah.
They'll try.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll try to make it.
That was it for me. I've said a lot already. Like took 10 minutes. But yeah, guys, share your thoughts on what interested you at AfricaCom and stuff like that.
I don't know, Rose or me? Who's going first? Mashi.
My favorite was the feature phone, although people will disagree with me on this one, but I really love the feature phone which has the internet.
Smart feature phone.
Yeah, the smart feature phone.
Which one, the MTN?
Yeah, the MTN one. The reason why I loved it, it's affordable to guys in the rural areas, and where technology is going, we are going towards blockchain. That means now blockchain can reach everyone. It doesn't matter where you are. Transactions can be carried out on the blockchain, whether it's agriculture, construction, or finances. That was one of my favorite ones.
Before you go on, Mashu is a blockchain evangelist, everyone.
And then on the feature phone, me and the other lady spoke to her and told her, if MTN was sincere, if they really wanted everyone to have internet, they should have introduced the phone that can actually go on WhatsApp.
Well, in their defense, the phone has KaiOS, and they're not the ones who developed the apps for that platform. So, what was the word on the street? WhatsApp was supposed to be coming soon, and then there's been a long silence. So it might eventually come, it might not. But yeah, I mean, WhatsApp is a big deal as well, so it's a bit tricky with that.
Yeah, so it's a no, it's a definite no.
It's a definite yes for me, as long as I can access my transactions.
Like I was telling Masha the other day, so if you have a phone that actually has WhatsApp and you're in the rural areas, that's the easiest way to modernize the rural population.
Wow.
How?
Speaking of
If the phone has WhatsApp, the person at one point they'll know that in order for me to send a message or receive a message, I should have maybe an E, an H, an H plus, whatever, right on my phone. That means they know that internet has to be there for me to communicate. That's number one. Number two, there'll come a time when someone says, someone sent me this link. I want to know what's on it. They click on it, but it tells them what? You can't, because there is no money. So it was going to be the quickest way to teach the rural folks
how to use the internet.
And they exclude that thing. It's more
Yeah,
like you going.
time.
It's more like you going to the river to swim You get there and there's no water. So how you gonna swim in those,
Yeah.
You heard it here first. WhatsApp is as important as water, guys.
I think water is important than water.
Yeah. So the second guys who were interesting, I was attending the startup, do you call them bootcamp seminars? I don't know what you call them. One of the issues that was being discussed was, why is it that black people, black Africans do not receive funding? The issue was trust. Funders have got a lot of money. Apparently they've got billions of dollars for Africa. But then the problem is that when they give an African startup money, usually the African would use that money to go and buy a Range Rover instead of starting the project.
So it's not just like
No. Let's pause on that one. I think a more fair assessment would actually be, before we even get to the point where we're saying an African would go and buy a Range Rover, when it comes to funding as well, Africans are generally being excluded, like heavily, even before we get to Range Rovers and stuff, where the guys who are funding startups, let's say it's a Western guy, he's probably relating more to a Western guy. So if a Western-led company is pitching, like I think we had this conversation way back when we were talking about Zambia. Leo had gone to Zambia, exactly. Leo is a workmate, by the way. But anyway, he was highlighting how one guy pitched an idea and he didn't get funding. He went and explained that idea to a white guy, and that guy went and pitched the same idea and got the funding. So it's much deeper than just resources.
I think it's because of trust. Because with a lot of companies that have interacted with,
because of trust.
With a lot of companies that have interacted with, that say they give. With a lot of companies that have interacted with who give funding, to Zimbabweans. Like some of them were like, we are not giving people the money as cash. We are giving it as seed. Because we had experiences in the past, you give someone money and they do not use it for the project.
But then that's
it's gone.
The thing. If you're in Zimbabwe, a country which is predominantly black, and you bring in funding, the likelihood that you're gonna give it to someone who's gonna be irresponsible and he's black is higher, because we've got like 90% black people. So. It's a trust issue.
It's a trust issue.
It's a trust issue, but it's also a prejudice issue, like at the core of it. It's not just we've given these black guys money and they've abused it. It's really more, it's that deep rooted. And I don't want to call it I don't want to call
it's
it
not
racism,
racist. It's not.
Because I do understand that thing. Like if I were to go to the UK and I met a Zimbabwean, we would relate instantly, or at least that guy would be like,
dude, when it comes to money, there's nothing about relationships.
So guys, do let us know what topics you want us to talk about more, because we'll soon end up at 1 hour just debating.
This one is a tricky one.
This one is a tricky one.
I think I'm done.
Okay.
I'm next?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me there was, I think, there's a bunch of stuff that stood out, but the one I liked most, and maybe it's because I agreed with it, was the startup bootcamp CEO gave a talk on funding models for startups, and essentially what he was saying was, you don't need to get funding for your startup to take off. Like you can iterate and do things before you get funding. So, and I think we've had this problem in Zim and just Africa generally, where people have ideas and they're like, I want money for this idea. Like you don't even have like an MVP, like that minimum viable product. You don't have any content, and you're like, I just have this idea. I want funding. And he approached it from a level where he was saying, the benefits of trying before you get funding is you get to see what works and what doesn't. So if I were to like a phone is a bad example, but if I were to offer a certain service, I would get feedback from you guys, and that's before I've committed any resources into it. and it allows you to iterate that, like make like version 1.5, 1.6 and whatnot. And you're saying once you've started pouring in like thousands and committing to that idea, changing it back is almost impossible. And in that same talk, he also touched on apps and like this obsession with apps and whatnot. And his view at least was, don't always go for the app. Like, you might be able to do something without creating an app, because creating a quality app is very expensive. It's time consuming, which is why we have a lot of weird apps.
Yes, we do.
Because either you don't have the money or the time to make it look as good as the Western stuff or the SA stuff and whatnot. And you're saying make things that just work and then iterate from there. And I think that was very interesting, because even when we talk about apps, is if you make a great app in Sim, how many people are going to use it when people are only buying like data for WhatsApp and whatnot? So that was very interesting for me, and it spoke volumes to me at least. And you can check that out on a blog. I actually wrote about it.
Yeah, I saw the article.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else, but I think that's my 3 minutes gone there.
Okay, so I learned a lot and I have a lot of interesting things. Can you give me 10 minutes of that? Okay, so maybe on a lighter note, I'll just share you a hilarious moment that we actually had with Mashu at Ahab. So when we got there was this guy here, white guy here, long hair. Then he was saying,
Was that
so
the
it
guy
was
with the beard?
no, he didn't have beard. So he was saying the talk was, why are women founders not recognized, something like that.
Oh, that guy.
So the guy comes in and says, if I was me, I would put my time and my money, I would invest in single women, because the tenacity to be raising a family as a single woman and starting a business, that would be nice. And I was like, dude, they are married women who actually, on top of the kids and their family, they have a husband and in-laws to think about. Don't you think they have more responsibility? They said, no, it's just me. That's what I would want, but already, we had already...
That one turned into
we
a
had, we had some fun on our side, etc.
That was
So that
interesting.
was number one. So number two, I actually met a company that was actually very interesting. So we actually discovered that most of those people are wholesalers to governments, to big telecoms companies, etc. So one wholesaler was saying they are based just out of Mumbai in India. And the guy was explaining how they use AI and machine learning to do what they call revenue assurance. So they say the telecoms, the intercalls, whatnot, there is some revenue that actually gets lost. So they use AI and machine learning to actually trace all that revenue that gets lost in between those calls, etc. And they assure for that. So they assure the telecoms, especially they do that to Econet, they go to Net1, they go to Telecel, they go everywhere, and make sure that you don't lose that revenue. Whenever you lose any revenue, they pay you. It was so interesting.
It was.
Then the second guys, one of the exhibitors, they said they actually have an application, the one that uses also the same, almost the same, similar softwares, AI and machine learning. But these guys, they said, you go to join a city, right? You get into one shop, you get out, you get into another shop, you get out. But since you have been connected to the join a city Wi-Fi, they can trace your movements. And maybe the AI will guess what you're looking for. So they'll start the pop-ups now and tell you, no, you might be looking for this, maybe you're looking for shoes. So you can go to this shop, etc.
That would have been cool for the Zim situation. Today I wanted to buy some groceries. I was looking for margarine. I only found raw meat. So imagine if we had that in this situation,
No
it would be a very
people
good.
who are eating bread with Romy right now. If they
More importantly, no offense to the brand. We're not saying it's a bad brand. It's just a preference.
So imagine if I had this with me, it would have really saved me a lot of time.
Like, don't get into that shop.
Yeah.
It's Romy.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't say food in that shop.
But the peak for me was at 5G Africa.
Oh yeah.
So 5G Africa, they were just telling us about 5G, what not. And I actually learned a lot about spectrum. And so the most interesting part for me was in 2025 or 2020, 2/3 of the people who are using the internet right now would be using 4G and 5G.
Yeah, definitely 2020.
2025, yeah, they said in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so interesting to me, and they say they actually have the infrastructure etc. The guy is from Hong Kong, so they say they have the infrastructure. Their government just needed about 7.5 billion to increase their spectrum so that they can accommodate 5G. So they were saying they were actually ready for 5G. And now they were talking about devices, whatnot. It was so interesting.
Tell me the benefits of the 5G.
No, I think
Tell me. Fast, right? It's good for the blockchain, guys.
Wow. But I mean,
I'm
even,
so excited.
Even before we go to that was interesting that you said they have the infrastructure in place and whatnot. Maybe one thing to keep in mind is the final specifications for 5G are not yet approved. They're still being approved. So if there's anyone right now who's saying they're offering 5G, it might not be the final standard of 5G that's out. It would just be a situation where you hope that you then upgrade whatever infrastructure and whatever network they're offering you to actually become 5G capable. They're expecting that by end of 2019 or mid 2019, if I'm not mistaken, they will have finalized the specifications of 5G.
He just said they were ready for 5G.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. So
faster and cheaper internet.
Yes. So in another conference, in the AfricaCom headlines, whatnot.
Yeah.
Then that's when we learned that actually the marketing department, the market will actually be changed by 5G. So I can't wait for 5G.
Yeah, because internet will be more affordable and to be faster.
I think I dispute a lot of what you're saying, but that needs a new
I can't wait
program.
for 5G.
So interestingly, we had a poll over Twitter, and the question was: if you had $1 billion, what would you bank on? 5G, blockchain, IoT, or artificial intelligence? And spoiler alert, 40% of the votes went to artificial intelligence.
Please.
I think it's one person who
You rigged.
I agree with that entirely.
So I guess it's a question we might have to have,
Obviously, it's the blockchain. I'll invest in the blockchain. Yeah.
and talk
I'll
about
invest in 5G.
and really see
And you?
pros and
I
cons.
think AI is more effective than IoT than 5G.
And that's interesting
Than the
because the
blockchain.
lowest was IoT, and Tinashe was like, "Whoa, I can't believe a lot of people are voting so
IoT,
few to
for
IoT."
me,
Like
I think
he thought it was like a no-brainer
it's
that
gonna be
IoT.
feeding.
And this is
AI
like 690 votes, so it's not like two
It's
people
not like two people.
who just voted, and 40% of them went to AI. So the question is AI just cool, or there's
that
really
stuff works.
something
That stuff
in
works.
it?
That stuff works.
Yeah, we really need to have another podcast about this.
AI versus
And we need
5G.
another poll.
No,
I think
AI
yours-
versus
I think
blockchain.
yours were poised to say, please vote for AI.
But that's
I don't trust
the
it.
listen. So when I was creating the poll, right, I'm glad you brought that up. I had put artificial intelligence as the first option, and then I was like, what if I'm influencing people to select?
You did.
Then I moved it to the last option.
put it
5G
in
was
the-
number
So
one.
then you contemplate.
So you have to read everything.
IoT,
Everything before you
And
even
then
see
people
AI.
still
And people still chose.
Do people
AI.
really understand 5G or IoT or blockchain? I, for one, I'm still struggling with blockchain.
Maybe that's the thing to look into,
Yeah.
But I think this has
This
been
one's
it.
gone to overtime.
We're about to get into overtime. This is me, Rufaro. I'll catch you somewhere.
This is me, Mashu. Catch you somewhere as well.
No, you don't.
Somewhere
Oh,
already
catch
taken.
catch you on the advertising space.
Alright, I'm out. Catch you on the blog.
Rose, I'm out.
Where are we catching you?
On the planet. Somewhere on the planet.